things seemed to come rather quickly, at least in Soraya's eyes. Then again, having the sunlight shine on her face made it feel that way to her. The moment she opened her eyes, she found herself laying beside Yasuka, who was still fast asleep. Soraya smiled at her friend as she watched her sleep, given how peaceful Yasuka looked, along with knowing about the Sky Nun's not-so-secret crush on Tahir. I should probably wake her up by now, Soraya thought to herself before placing her hand on Yasuka's shoulder and gently nudging it. This immediately caused Yasuka to groan a bit as she opened her eyes. "Oh, good morning, Your Highness," Yasuka said as she got back up. Soraya giggled at her formal greeting before replying back. "Good morning to you, Yasuka," Soraya said. "I already told you, you don't need to call me that. Just my first name is fine." Sorry, force of habit," Yasuka apologized. "Given that you are still technically a royal, it would be awfully rude of me to address you so casually, let alone by your first name." Don't worry about it," Soraya assured the shy maiden. "Besides, I was pretty casual even with the servants back in Bahar, so it's no big deal." "Is that so?" Yasuka asked in surprise. "Funny, Tahir said the same thing when I first called him Your Highness or even Your Majesty." Yes, speaking of Tahir," Soraya replied with what could be best described as an impish grin. "I was wondering, do you have a crush on him?" "What?" Yasuka nearly shouted as a bright red blush began to spread around her face. Immediately, she began shaking her head as if denying it. "No, of course not. That's not. I mean, I'm not." "Oh, come on. You don't need to be so shy," Soraya teased. "You do have a crush on him, don't you?" "Well, I mean, he is attractive in his own way, but I wouldn't say he is." "Is everything all right?" Shadi's voice asked as she entered the room, causing both ladies to get startled by her sudden appearance. Soraya noticed how embarrassed Yasuka was by her earlier question and decided to spare her for now by changing the subject to something less intimate. "Yes, everything's fine," Soraya assured the older woman. "We were just having a fun chat." "Right, Yasuka?" Yes, we were," Yasuka agreed with a rather enthusiastic nod. Shadi stared at them for a bit with some doubt on her face before shrugging and smiling at them both. "All right then," Shadi replied. "I'll be cooking breakfast for us all. We're having adasi, if you don't mind." "That sounds wonderful, thank you," Soraya thanked with ease. "Yes, thank you," Yasuka added, giving a light nod while she was at it. The moment Shadi left the two girls alone to get ready, Soraya turned to face Yasuka with a rather mischievous expression which scared the Sky Nun. "We'll continue this later," Soraya whispered with a giggle before getting up on her feet. Yasuka could only try not to facepalm or groan as she knew that the princess was on to her regarding her feelings for Tahir. "Was it that obvious?" she thought to herself with shame. "I'm not even supposed to feel this way towards the prince, yet it seems as though I've been caught. I just hope she doesn't tell Tahir about this the first chance she gets." Breakfast went smoothly as the three guests ate their meals happily, with Soraya and Tahir giving their compliments to Shadi, who helped prepare it. Nasir, Nadar, and even Anzor also enjoyed their meals, which made Shadi smile happily while emitting a light blush from their praise. While she was used to being praised for her cooking by her family and their allies, it was still new for her to receive praise from royalty such as Tahir and Soraya. However, even during breakfast, Yasuka noticed how Soraya kept giving her knowing glances while subtly nudging her head towards Tahir, who ate his fill of stew and given some fish that the hunting family happened to have with them. Yasuka frowned in slight frustration as she didn't feel ready to confess her feelings to Tahir, that is, if he would reciprocate them. Even so, the fact that Soraya seemed rather supportive of her feelings touched her heart and made her feel somewhat happy. "But still, I can't be in love with Tahir," Yasuka lamented sadly in her mind. "If I do, I'll be breaking one of the major codes of the Sky Monk Sanctuary. To not fall in love and become attached to someone intimately. The gurus would be very disappointed in me if they found out about this, especially Ishana." "If everyone is done with their meals, I'll be taking your bowls and utensils now," Shadi said as she got up from her seat and did just that. "Here, let me help you, dear," Nadar said as he too joined in. While the adults began cleaning up the table and placing them in the area where they would be washed, Nasir pulled out something that he had in his pocket. To the group's surprise, it was a map that showed all of Avesta, or what remained of it due to the continent changing over time. This piqued the curiosity of Soraya, Yasuka, and Tahir, who all glanced at the map with great interest. "I brought this with me just in case," Nasir explained. Given that me and my family have traveled across Avesta a lot since I was a child and met many people who could help us, it will be best for me to guide you along the way. That's great! Soraya exclaimed with hope. That way we won't be running around in circles or at the risk of getting lost when we find allies prophesied to help us fight against Dahak. With your guidance and map helping us with our quest, we may be able to fulfill the prophecy and save Avesta much sooner, Yasuka added with hope in her tone. Just make sure not to bring us to the wrong direction, and maybe I will forgive you for damaging my wing and injuring Yasuka and Soraya, Tahir snarked, causing Nasir to grimace in his direction. Soraya and Yasuka frowned at Tahir as they were beginning to get annoyed over Tahir's hostility towards Nasir, despite the young man's apologies. I'm not going to live this down, am I? Nasir groaned in defeat. Not yet, no. Tahir deadpanned. Anyways, Soraya chimed in with a firm tone. We should focus on finding Gordafari, the Allah your mother mentioned last night. What is she like? Oh, Gordafari? Nasir replied in surprise and fondness. She's the daughter of Chief Gazdaham of the Frumi tribe. If there's one word to describe her, is that she is tough, as in tough as nails. Not to mention, she's considered to be the strongest member of her tribe due to her training. I see. So she's something of a warrior woman? Soraya asked in awe. Haven't heard of them in years. Yeah, she's one of the few warrior women to exist in Avesta, Nasir explained. I'm sure there are other women capable of fighting somewhere. We have yet to find any of them other than Gordafarid and her tribe members. As for Gordafarid herself, she's like an older sister to me, and taught me how to fight with my bow and arrows, as well as daggers and swords, if possible. That's good to hear, Soraya commented. If anyone can help us, it's her. Then we better get a move on if possible, Tahir suggested as he gestured to the exit of the tent. We don't have a lot of time to waste, given that Dahak may strike any time he pleases. Good point, Nasir agreed without a second thought. I'll ask my mother if we have any supplies to pack for our journey. The Frumi tribe live around the mountain areas that are not too far from here, but their location is only known by us and a few of our remaining allies, so we'll need to move fast as to avoid catching any unwanted attention. We don't want to accidentally lead the Deeves or Dahak's followers to their home. No, we do not, Yasuka agreed. It would be a terrible disaster if they found out where the other rebel cells were located within Avesta. The others nodded before preparing to leave, with assistance from Shadi and Nader. After what felt like an hour or even a half of packing and preparing, with Yasuka and Tahir making sure their injuries didn't get exacerbated in the process, they were now ready to head out. While they knew that they would have to walk for now, as Tahir couldn't fly and Yasuka wasn't able to use her powers properly, the group didn't mind since they got a chance to stretch their legs. It also helped that Anzor would be accompanying them for the trip, too, which Soraya was very happy to hear. Shadi and Nader met up with them outside the tent before bidding them farewell. Now, I packed every essential item you need, ranging from food to even tools for your journey ahead, Shadi explained before giving her son a stern look. And Nasir, you better not cause any more trouble for the group. Yes, Madar, Nasir replied with sagging shoulders. I'm never going to live this down, am I? He asked himself. Thank you for helping us, miss, Soraya thanked with a humble heart. We couldn't have done it without you. No problem, Nader assured the princess before pointing at the map's directions, which were jotted down with ink. If you follow this path, the one that is labeled right here, you should be able to find the Frumi tribe. You should also get there before night falls. Believe me, you do not want to know what happens after dark. Understood, sir, Soraya replied with a nervous nod. Either way, we thank you for your hospitality, you and your family. We will never forget your kindness. It's no problem, dear, Shadi assured Soraya. Just make sure to kick Dahak's butt for us and come back safely, and bring Nasir home while you're at it too, please. We will, Soraya assured Shadi with an affirmative nod. Farewell. We will be back before you know it. Goodbye, Madar. Goodbye, Padar, Nasir said as he waved to his parents with Anzar barking his own farewells too. Goodbye, my son, Shadi replied with a smile and what appeared to be tears streaming down her face. Be careful and come back soon if you can. I will, I promise, Nasir assured his mother as he continued waving back while walking with Soraya, Tahir, and Yasuka. The two proud parents watched as their son and family had left the area with the ones who would defeat Dahak. I'm so proud of him, Shadi commented as she leaned against Nader. But at the same time, I'm scared for him. We spent all our years preparing him for this very moment, and yet I'm so worried about what will happen to him if things get bad. Do not be afraid, my love, Nader assured his wife. Omarazda has a plan for our son and for the rest of us in the long run. I'm sure whatever troubles Nasir and the others face will be overcome. For now, the only thing we can do is pray for him and for the ones chosen by Omurazda himself. I hope this prophecy will come true, Shadi prayed with hope in her heart. Our previous champion failed us the first time, which allowed Dahak to win and take over most of Avesta. I can only pray that it doesn't get worse than this. Meanwhile, the group continued to walk across the fields and sands that awaited them in the wilderness, with Tahir making sure to protect his sister and friend all the while. Of course, he also made sure to keep a close eye on the young hunter, given that he had still yet to forgive him for the injury he put him through and inconveniencing the group earlier. He couldn't be too careful, after all. It's so sunny outside, Soraya commented as she took in the sunlight shining down on her and the others. Perhaps it's a sign from Omurazda telling us to have hope, Yasuka said. Yes, that could be it, Tahir agreed with a small smile. Say, do you, Soraya, want to rest your feet? I can carry you both on my back until we get to our destination. No, I'm fine, thank you, Yasuka assured Tahir while desperately trying to hide her blushing face, with Soraya trying not to laugh in the process. I insist, Tahir assured his friend while remaining unaware of why Yasuka was blushing so hard, or at least everyone assumed. I don't want yours or Soraya's feet to hurt later on. Plus, your arm is still in a sling, so it would be best for you to not move too much while you're at it. Yasuka sighed as she glanced at her still injured arm, wishing there was some way she could heal it quicker. While she appreciated Tahir's concerns and had no problem being close with him, physically speaking, she didn't want to be seen as weak or helpless all the time, despite being a non-combatant. Not to mention, Tahir was already carrying most of their supplies with the new pouch Shadi and Nader gave them after their old one broke, so she didn't want to burden him in any way. Come on, Yasuka, Soraya encouraged in a semi-teasing tone. Besides, you are the closest to my brother, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem for you. I guess not, Yasuka replied in an unsure tone, but the moment she saw Tahir giving her a pleading look that seemed more intense than usual, she conceded and walked towards him before climbing on his back. You want to climb on too? Tahir asked Soraya, who immediately shook her head. No, it's fine, Soraya assured him. Besides, I could use this moment to stretch my legs and gain some exercise in a way. You mind giving me a lift as well? Nasir asked in a joking tone, to which Tahir responded by giving him yet another scowl. Even more alarming, at least in Nasir's eyes, was that Soraya also joined in by frowning at him in disapproval. Okay, I get the prince not liking me, but what did I do to anger her? He asked himself with concern. Too soon? You are the last person to make such a request, Tahir said in a severe tone. Only my sister and friend get to ride on my back whenever they please. Okay, I get the memo, Nasir responded while raising his hands in a placating manner. As he turned to face the area they were walking to, he perked up and pointed in front of them. Oh, would you look at that? We're here. Really? Soraya asked, turning in the direction where Nasir was. Like he said, there was a large mountain in the distance where the Frumi tribe presumably lived. So this is where they live? Do they live inside the mountains or something? Something like that, Nasir replied while shaking his right hand in a so-so manner. There is a secret cave through this mountain that only the Frumi tribe members, my family, and the other rebels can access. But in order to do that, we need to find one of the Frumi tribe members guarding this place. Only then we'll be able to access the tribe's home and meet up with Gordafari and her father if possible. I see, Tahir commented. Then in that case, perhaps you should go in front since you know them best. Sure, that way they won't attack you guys like I did, which again, I'm so sorry about, Nasir replied in a guilt-ridden manner, which only worsened the moment Tahir glared at him for the reminder. The young hunter quickly ran in front with Anzor not too far behind. Tahir, Soraya, and Yasuka, who was currently riding on the Gryphon prince's back, watched as Nasir approached the mountain closest to them. Hello? Is anyone here? It's me, Nasir! Nasir called out, only to receive no response. Things remained quiet and unchanged for a few seconds, until the sound of something approaching was heard. Given how there were some trees surrounding the mountains, along with some noticeably large bushes, it would make it easier for some to hide from their enemies, or even hunt for their prey if possible. As the footsteps and rustling noises of foliage were heard, Tahir and the other two ladies tensed up, while Nasir and Anzor remained perfectly calm. Suddenly, a relatively tall and muscular person appeared, wearing armor along with some gear for both hunting and combat. Said person also wore a helmet that covered their face, making it hard to see what they looked like underneath. Before anyone could do anything, the armored person did something that no one expected, which was picking up Nasir and pulling him into a hug. Nasir! Long time no see! The armored person said with barely concealed joy. I haven't seen you in months. How are your parents? Are they doing well? Oh, you brought Anzor with you. Hey, little guy. As the person, who was revealed to be female, judging from her voice, let go of Nasir, she bent down to pet Anzor, with the black canine barking happily and wagging his tail from the petting. It's good to see you too, Gordafarid, Nasir said with a chuckle. The woman, now confirmed to be Gordafarid, smiled behind her helmet until she noticed the group behind them. Who are you? How did you find this place? There is no one allowed here but us! Gordafarid shouted in a hostile tone as she pulled out a spear she had on her person and stood in front of Nasir protectively. Wait, no, it's not what you think! Soraya pleaded as she shook her hands in alarm. Nasir was the one who brought us here! And why is that, I wonder? Gordafarid questioned while glancing at Nasir with concern. Did you force him to? Are you spies of Dahak? Is that it? We're not spies, Tahir insisted. We have nothing to do with Dahak, nor do we intend to serve him in any way. It speaks? Gordafarid asked in disbelief, prompting Tahir to roll his eyes in exasperation before responding. Yes, I can speak, and I would prefer that you not attack us, lest you wish to get mauled by my claws, Tahir warned. Realizing that he was being serious and not wanting to start a meaningless fight, while also being curious as to why a Gryphon was speaking like a human, Gordafarid lowered her weapons before responding. All right, then, you've caught my attention, Gordafarid replied. If you're not affiliated with Dahak, why are you here? We came here because we need your help in gathering allies for our mission to defeat Dahak and save Avesta, Yasuka explained. The moment she said this, Gordafarid widened her eyes in shock before replying. Well, why didn't you say so? She asked. Sorry for almost attacking you and all. I just needed to make sure you weren't spies of Dahak or anything like that. Hey, don't worry about it, Soraya assured the warrior woman. Even so, do you think you could bring us to your father, Chief Gazdaham, so we can better establish our alliance? Sure, just follow me, Gordafarid agreed with a nod before turning around. I know how to get us to the mountain best. Great, let's go, Soraya chirped as she and Tahir followed Gordafarid. By the way, what happened to you guys? The warrior woman asked with concern. You have a scar on your cheek, and that girl has a broken arm, plus that talking Gryphon of yours has an injured wing. I'm going to assume Dahak and his minions had something to do with them. Actually, that would be my fault, Nasir admitted in a sheepish tone, causing Gordafarid to give him a stare of disbelief. What? She asked in a deadpan tone, not liking where this was going. Well, you see, it's kind of a funny story, Nasir began as he was forced to reveal what exactly caused the group's injuries. Needless to say, the experience was both awkward and embarrassing, as it took all of Gordafarid's restraint to not smack him on the head for almost getting their allies killed.